4 interesting food trends to explore. First one under the cloche.
Granola.
Yeah, you've never seen that before, right?
This is granola.
Are we trying to guess what
Why?
nipple has been milked?
No.
That is dairy milk that you've put over rich and golden muesli with a solid granola crunch. But what is it that means we can shoehorn it into this episode and talk about the broader food trend?
Has the granola been made in a lab?
Not so much.
Lab-grown granola.
I mean, like like factories all over the place. What about the little black little bits?
Oh, okay.
Try one of those individually. What you're looking for is the dark, crunchy, almost straw-like bits.
It is. It's very earthy and like
Yeah.
powdery, almost sandy once you bite into it.
I'm going to put you out of your misery. This is seaweed granola. And the broader topic, let's talk about seaweed. We've seen it a lot in the last year.
Right.
In packaging with Nopla. We've seen it as an agricultural input. When I was in Australia, I went to Tasmania, I went to see Sea Forest, one of the Earthshot winners. This product is by Phyco Health, and it is one of their product ranges that includes seaweed. What they do is they take the protein-rich seaweed and blend it with cinnamon and rice malt. And what you end up with, along with the other things, hemp seed, there's sunflower seeds, there's almonds, there's oats, you end up with a granola mix. Do you like it?
I do like it.
So seaweed as a subject matter, definitely a trend that I've been wary of because it is so protein rich and what it's being able to do and use, and the fact that it can be grown on the sea and not require huge amounts of land irrigation, etc. So I've heard bits and bobs, but I'm interested to learn more.
And why is it in granola?
So you've covered a lot of the environmental reasons
welcome.
there, because yes, it's growing, it doesn't need fresh water irrigation, it's operating in seawater, offshore, or even the onshore farms are using seawater. And it is a huge carbon sequestration tank, basically, because it's taking all of the sun and carbon from the atmosphere and turning it into something that is edible and nutritious. And this company also make pasta, for example, with an element of seaweed because of its nutritional benefit. Seaweed is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, as in per calorie, the number of micronutrients, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories that you get. And WHO, the World Health Organization, basically have acknowledged that 30% of the global population have an iron deficiency. So how do we get more iron into our diet? Well, let's shoehorn it into familiar formats like granola and pasta. What's also fascinating about seaweed is it can grow up to 50 times faster than some land crops. You just harvest it and pick it and it just keeps regrowing. So it's a wonderful, wonderful resource.
The things that we're now discovering that seaweed can do, it is in the news a lot, and whether it is packaging with people like Nopla, Sam down in New Zealand, using it to create food for agricultural use, so feeding cows, and then the cows produce how many percentage less methane?
Far, far less methane, up to 90% less, when 1% of their animal feed becomes this seaweed. What's balmy about it is there's 14,000 species of seaweed. There is only one they've found that has this particular ability to prevent the methane production in cows. And that's why I gave you dairy milk, because Sea Forest have also already worked together with one company in Australia to produce the world's first low emission milk and low emission dairy. So it all feeds together, whether it's packaging, whether it's for nutrition, or whether it's agricultural inputs. Seaweed is hot.
I do feel like in the UK, seaweed we only kind of see in a couple of different places. One is sushi and the other is Chinese takeaways.
And that often isn't even seaweed, it's cabbage.
Gutted.
What?
Is that still the case?
Why wouldn't it be? Why would they? That's false advertising.
Crispy seaweed, you're right, is the sugar, it's the MSG, it's the umami on crispy cabbage mostly.
Let's talk about the trend of lying to us about our food.
Would you like to see more seaweed, or would you rather if weed not?
Wow, Ebbers, great work. As a trend, 100%, I'd like to see more of it because I think it's really making an impact. We just need to adapt it in a big way.
I think I agree. I think it's got a long journey to go on to be a consumer-facing favourite, particularly if half the time they're lying to you about whether it's actually just cabbage.
Oh, they.
Number 2, see what we got.
Ready? Boom.
Cookies!
A stack of cookies. Cheers. I smell carroty.
Lovely, chewy.
Sweet. Fruity sweetness.
Yeah, fruity.
Really fruity.
Banana.
No, we've done that. Is this some type of sweetener?
In a way. It has also got lots of sugar in it as well. It's a cookie recipe. But I suppose the ingredient we're talking about has an element of sweetness to it. Does this help?
Absolutely not. Okay, very sticky. It almost goes honey-like as soon as
Moisture.
you add moisture to it.
No idea, Ebbers.
Jay, you were pretty close. You said it. It's banana.
Told you banana.
Oh, shut up.
They are banoffee cookies, and what you have is banana powder. Now, using banana powder is not new to some countries. However, it is much more globally known now because it becomes a gluten-free flour. Now, it doesn't behave quite the same way as flour, but in things like cookies, brownies, where you want a fairly fudgy texture anyway, or to add into smoothies and shakes, it's a really interesting ingredient that is high in fiber, potassium, magnesium, and vitamin content, and a resistant starch, which is gut-friendly prebiotic.
What, other than bananas, is in it?
Nothing. So it is green bananas that are peeled, chopped up, and about 8 to 10 kilos of bananas becomes about a kilo of banana powder.
Wait, say that again. 8 to 10 kilos of banana.
Becomes a kilo of banana powder.
Okay.
We know how many bananas are wasted when they're left in their fresh form. So by reducing it down to a powder, that has a really long shelf life. But it's only more recently, with the rise of celiacs, you see it sort of coming into fruition in, yes, coffee shops with baked goods. It behaves very differently to a flour. However, while some of this one is made from green bananas, but you do need a lot to make the powder, there is a company in Chile that's now doing it from the banana skins and bruised or overripe bananas. So yes, it's reducing food waste and increasing shelf life. It's on the rise because of an awareness of celiacs and a requirement for baked goods that don't have gluten. And it's also just a really interesting ingredient to play with, and chefs and bakers also love that.
So they reckon it's a lovely natural flavouring to smoothies, cakes, juices, and ice creams.
Oh, yeah, in ice cream.
In vanilla ice cream would be a delicious, quick,
You'd have to
easy
reduce
way.
your sugar level because it is so sweet.
What it does have is a really good source of fibre, which we don't get enough of in our diet, especially the resistant starches and fibres that our guts love, that we don't digest, but it gets down to our lower colons, and then our gut biome go mad for it.
Like, I find it incredible what bakers have done in producing plant-based or gluten-free baking that over the last 5 years genuinely now tastes as good as
it has different properties.
the originals. Yeah, but they've bridged that gap now, where at one point I'd see that's a vegan blah 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 and go, it's not going to taste as good. Now it's like, oh, okay, fine.
And like with so many of these trends, they have existed elsewhere for ages. It's just they're hitting a global stage because of an awareness and all the things we're looking for now in our diets.
I definitely think the way that they market it as a flour, I know marketing something as a sugar because it's not a sugar either, but it's so sweet.
So, banana flour, is it empowdering great bakers? Or is it banotti for you?
What the?
Banoffee? Banotti?
I think it's possibly a little bit of both, but I'm leaning towards it's empowdering bakers.
I think it's got all of the makings of something that can turn into a big global trend outside of the countries that have been using it for years and years and years. So the first one is what I was saying.
Empowdering bakers.
I don't want to say it out loud, but I like it.
Nice. Should we have a look at another?
Just before we do that, Ebbers, it is just 4 weeks until our washed up live weekend show. You've helped us put together a spectacular lineup of teen challenges, laugh out loud trials, chefy masterclasses, and mouth-watering food for us all to enjoy at our beachside filming location live on the weekend of the 29th and 30th of June. We've taken on your feedback from previous live shows to put together our most fun, collaborative and foodie live show ever across 12 plus hours of TV quality live streamed content, all with a desert island twist. Find out all about it using the QR code or the link below, submit your ideas using the survey link, and you can grab your tickets now to join us for 2 days of entertainment, great food and laughs together. As, let's face it, the greatest community on all of YouTube.
Over to you.
Lift it. Art House Unlimited beetroot seeds.
I've got pea seeds.
These are 2 tiny examples from Art House Limited. Would you like to see some other examples?
Yes.
2 chocolate bars.
Chocolate bar. I really like the artwork.
Milk chocolate cheesecake with ginger nut crunch.
That sounds delicious.
So Art House Unlimited is a charitable organisation, so they showcase the artistic talents of adults living with diverse neuro challenges, learning difficulties, and they provide an amazing safe space where they can start to create and showcase and be valued for their individual art as they are there also getting the essential care and learning, both physical and emotional support they need. And off the back of that, it's a charity that's on a mission to be entirely sustainable by creating these wonderful gifts that you can buy for yourself as a treat, or they're wonderful gifts to gift to others. The reason I wanted to start with the seeds is because we often have a here's one we made earlier, or hey, we've baked you some cookies. But 5 weeks ago, I planted some seeds. That is from those seeds.
Pea seeds. Pea shoots.
So 5 weeks ago, I planted about a dozen pea shoots on my balcony from that very packet. I also put 1 in a pot. So that's just an example of 1. It literally flowered this morning, almost as if we knew we were filming today. The seeds is one example because you can nurture and look after the growth of food and see that journey. But ultimately, it's the artwork on all of the packaging and even the box they came in that celebrates the power of inclusion and the valuing and respect of these adults with these diverse learning and physical disabilities.
I like my pictures being sold because I like to imagine them in people's houses. It makes me smile and feel happy inside.
We look after our friends when they have seizures. We're all friends together at Art House.
This is great. This is so good.
It is a wonderful space that at the moment survives off of charitable donations and what they're selling. But their real aim, and they're getting really close to it, is to make it entirely sustainable, that it can be a space that just through selling the products, they can be sustainable as a charity.
Brilliant. Let's try some chocolate.
And what the charity does is team up with artisan producers who are already producing great food.
That is amazing. Wow, that is great. What is that?
Milk chocolate cheesecake with ginger nut crunch.
That's lovely.
Colombian chocolate.
Do you want to try some dark chocolate with smoky crunch and maple syrup?
Hello. One amazing idea, doing it as a postcard.
I think it definitely
yeah.
leans into the gift market because you
Yeah.
can buy one and quite literally send it as a postcard with a little message to a loved one.
Smoky.
That is good. That is really interesting and tasty.
And I think, there is a world in which the packaging, the artwork, the charity is fabulous, but you could just put it around any old product and the sentiment is already still there as a charitable donation to buy something. But the fact that the flavours are really adventurous and absolutely delicious, and then you've got this amazing sport network of supervisors who basically empower this artwork at all levels and the learning they have with it. So even on the peas, the artwork of how to plant them and how to look after them and what to expect as they grow is all illustrated by the artists.
This is what we need in the world. People doing this type of stuff.
Positive.
Oh my goodness.
Celebrating. One incredibly uplifting, positive
Yeah.
project and charity. That's what great work.
I think what they stand for and what they do is just brilliant. But also, the products that you are buying or gifting are really high quality and great as well. So just top notch on all the levels.
Ask us the question, Ebbers.
So my question to you, 5 weeks on from sowing my seed, is this an appealing charity or a bit pathetic?
It's massively appealing.
I don't want to hear you about you sowing your seed,
I don't want
but it is incredibly appealing.
You've just tarnished the name of Art House Unlimited.
Yeah.
As with all the products we're looking at today, we'll put the links down below so you can find the charity.
Love these guys.
Yeah, that's great.
Great job. We need you in the world. I'm a lift.
Yeah.
Last one for you, buzzing for it.
Coffee!
So this example is from Kiss the Hippo. It is one example, but we're looking at the broader category.
Tasting notes of blueberry, strawberry and hazelnut. Hand roasted in London.
Carbon negative.
So there's lots of sustainable angles around this particular coffee brand, but there's one word on there that is the trend we're addressing. It's natural. This is natural coffee.
I mean, you didn't react well to finding out that some takeaways aren't actually using seaweed. Are we about to have our hearts broken for a second time?
Far from, but should we talk about it over a coffee?
Oh, it's a bit late. I'm not going to sleep tonight.
We know that coffee comes from a cherry,
Yes.
right? Most coffee cherries on the market nowadays are mulched down to get rid of the cherry. So you're left with the green bean that's then washed, and that is then
Roasted.
fermented and then roasted. So fermented, dried, roasted.
Yes, yes, yes.
Natural coffee happens without that removal of the cherry and without the washing. So it uses a fraction of the fresh water required to wash coffee, and it is naturally fermented in the cherry, which gives it a load more fruity nuance, a load more flavour, but it's kind of coffee doing what skin contact wine has done, and the rise of orange wine and amber wine from Georgia. That
Can
we
you
experienced.
explain skin contact wine to
When you're
Wine
making it, you
drinkers.
have to be like this. With your
Yeah,
top.
I was going to say.
Low intervention and skin contact, where basically, in the example of white wine, it is fermented with some contact with the skins, which gives it some colour, lots of natural yeasts, and you get some slightly more funky, fruity flavours. This is coffee doing the same thing. Ironically, it's the way that coffee was made ages ago, before we added a process to find a standardised version. But there's some amazing coffee roasters now who are exploring natural coffee to get some really
even know
nuanced
that.
deliciousness back into it. I should probably point out that Kiss the Hippo, London's first carbon negative coffee brand, they pay double the fair trade price on coffee to allow farmers to actually innovate and invest. They have a 100% renewable energy in their London roaster. Their coffee shops are completely waste free, so they team up with the likes of Too Good To Go to try and get rid of what they can, and beyond that it goes to food charities. The coffee grounds go off and are turned into biofuel, which is obviously reducing the need for renewable energy and gas. All of their straws, cups, lids and takeaway boxes are compostable, not just recyclable and recyclable, but actual compostable. And even the coffee sacks, they then go to London Zoo, and the primates use them as bedding and stimulus toys.
That is impressive for any business. But they make coffee, and if the coffee doesn't taste good, all those other things are just superfluous. Oh wow, that tastes bolder than a lot of coffees I've ever had.
I do know what you mean, because it doesn't taste like coffee in a lot of ways.
Loads of fruit.
Funky notes, which I would associate in the world that perhaps I'm more familiar
Tangy.
with natural wines, but you're getting that off of coffee beans.
It's coffee with benefits.
Yeah, it's a decent
Not
cup
just
of
those
coffee.
benefits, but like it's a really, really interesting cup of coffee.
And I think the world has ended up in a place where it's now become incredibly cheap to produce certain items, and people are in a situation where they can only afford to buy the cheap items, and then that becomes a cyclical thing, and where you do have a choice to spend more money on something that's doing better things for the planet. I think that's a really important thing to do when you can.
As a product itself, there is already a market for people who like to buy high quality, interesting tasting coffee or coffee beans. Honestly, if you're going to go out of your way to do that, why not spend the money on all the additional benefits as well, because it delivers on the interesting taste and the quality, but it also, I mean, they've got quite a show-offy list of amazing stuff that they're also doing.
In which case, the question, has this been exciting for you? Or are you expressing a negative opinion?
This has been exciting for me.
This has been exciting.
These guys are great.
That gives us something to talk about. It'll also give you guys something to write about. Get into the comments and talk about those 4 trends. Which one is most interesting to you, and which one would you like to see more of as it scales?